Picture your inner life as a small city with thin walls and many gates. At dawn, hunger hammers the eastern gate. At noon, envy marches with banners. At night, lust slips through alleys, while pride climbs the tower and shouts orders. You walk the streets pretending you are the ruler, signing decrees you did not write. You think you govern, you don't. Not yet. Shadow work here is statecraft, supplies, factions, keys. The principality is fragile because you keep granting asylum to impulses that flatter you. Hunger says, you earn this. You open the granary. Envy says, you were robbed. You send patrols through other people's lives, counting their victories against yours until resentment sets the market on fire. Lust promises softness and invoices you tomorrow. Pride drapes you in velvet and shoves you onto a stage you haven't built. The nobles applaud while the roads crumble. A pretty court, a failing state. So face the first decision of rule. Inside you is the same dilemma that ruins princes. Do you want your impulses to love you or to fear you? If you chase their love, they will praise you while they empty your vaults. They will call you authentic while they burn your discipline. They will call you free while they fasten you to comfort. But if they fear the border, clear lines, swift consequences, they will obey enough to keep the peace. This is not cruelty for its own sake. It is cruelty well used, brief, targeted, and in service of order. You do not punish to nourish rage. You set consequences to prevent chaos. The punishment is the sign on the gate. Not past this line. Mercy without strategy breeds rebellion. Limits enforced with fairness breed trust. Govern yourself as you would a troubled city. Firm hand, measured heart, public rules, private softness later. Modern life makes the inner court noisy. Think of your phone at midnight, the old advisor who whispers, "Stay a little." Love of that habit is surrender. Fear, correctly used, is the lock clicked at 10, the device in another room, the rule written and enforced. Think of spending to soothe a lonely afternoon. Love is the story that says, "You deserve it." Fear is the ledger you open, the cap you do not cross, the transfer to savings executed on schedule. Think of words thrown in anger. Love, the counterfeit kind, offers the warm excuse. "I was stressed." Fear, rightly used, is the oath you keep when heat rises. Pause, breathe, step outside, speak tomorrow. You are not bullying yourself, you are protecting the city from a riot. Restraint is a wall, not a whip. Discipline is a lantern in the alley, not a chain on the citizen. Yet even a firm ruler must reckon with Fortuna. She is the flood, moods, triggers, accidents, the email that guts your morning, the memory that surfaces while you are driving, the number on the scale, the face you did not expect to see. When the river swells, weak cities drown, their gates swing open, and the worst faction raids the treasury. Strong cities build levees in good weather. Habits are levees. Boundaries are dikes. Audits are watchtowers along the bank. So you prepare when the sky is blue. You sleep at a set hour because storms obey no calendar. You keep a simple meal plan because stress turns markets wild. You file a weekly report to yourself: what was stolen, what was gained, which alley needs light. You script emergencies, a walk, a call, a page of cold facts ready on the desk. Because when Fortuna breaks the river, you will not have time to build. You will only have time to use what is built. That is the difference between fantasy and rule. Fantasy waits for pleasant weather. Rule expects rain and stacks sandbags by the door. Look again at your city, see the factions, hear their noise. Then see the map, the levees, the laws. Take the keys back, one decision at a time, until the streets quiet and the markets open. Order before comfort. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Look at the voices around your inner throne. They smile, they agree, they pour sweet wine into your ear and call it self-care. These are flatterers of the mind. After a long day, they whisper, "You deserve it, skip the plan." When conflict appears, they murmur, "You're doing fine, it's not your fault." Their comfort feels like love, but it is a velvet trap that sends the bill tomorrow with interest. The inner court loves praise because praise is easy. You let a show run past midnight and call it recovery. You open an app for 5 minutes and loan the city an hour without collateral. The advisor beams, "Good job unwinding." Meanwhile, patrols go unmanned. The budget bleeds, the granary opens for raids. Empires often fall this way, decay masked as kindness. Surgery begins when you name these voices for what they are. Agents of disorder wearing gentle faces. Measure them by results, not by tone. Do they increase strength, clarity, and honor? Or do they increase fog, delay, and apology? The test is not how a thought feels. The test is what it builds. Real counsel adds stone to the wall. Flattery sells the stone for a song and blames the rain. Another mask arrives, moral vanity. It borrows the language of goodness. Niceness replaces truth and calls itself compassion. You avoid the hard talk and call it kindness. You forgive yourself before you have even faced the damage. Under the mask, resentment ferments like wine in a sealed cellar. Niceness without courage is cowardice in costume. You see it at work when a teammate misses a deadline. You wave it off, then complain to a third person. The city learns your laws are theater. You see it at home when you accept broken promises because you fear conflict more than corrosion. You post slogans about empathy while abandoning boundaries that would actually protect the common good. Moral vanity is cheap policy, all parade, no roadwork. Goodness is not a tone. It is an outcome. A good ruler protects trade, guards the weak, and keeps the peace. For you, that means honest conversations spoken plainly and early. It means refusing the urge to look gentle while doing harm through delay. It means saying, I will not agree to this, and meaning it. The sting of real responsibility is medicine, not an injury. Now look at comfort. Comfort is the foreign army that doesn't wear armor. It comes in velvet gloves and iron chains. It says, rest now, you earned it, handle the bill later. It says, peace is when nothing challenges you. Your gates swing open because the soldiers are soft and smiling. No alarms, just scrolling, streaming, shopping, and snacks marching down Main Street. Peace is not this. Peace is order. Clear laws, clean streets, duties done, songs at dusk because the day was honest. Sedation is occupation, a quiet city under foreign rule. When you wake up dull behind, apologizing, that is not peace, it is the low hum of defeat. Picture a Sunday swallowed by a couch that promises restoration and delivers fog. Picture your budget, occupied by small purchases that click into a chain you only see when the month ends. To resist occupation, suspect comfort that refuses accountability. Ask, what debt will I owe after this choice? What promise will I break? What strength will shrink? If comfort cannot pass these checks, it is not a friend, it is a spy. Keep some comforts, festivals, rewards, real leisure that returns you sharper. But keep the keys, you decide when the city rests, not the visitor with soft hands. Finally, count the cost of mercy without strategy. You call it grace when you delete the alarm every day for a week. You call it forgiveness when you binge after a hard meeting. You call it love when you ignore the message that needs a clean answer. This is not mercy, this is neglect in a robe. Leniency toward destructive habits breeds rebellion. The inner factions learn that law is theater and consequences are myths. There is another path, harder in the moment and kinder in the long run. Cruelty well used, swift, necessary, limited. You set a bedtime and keep it like a border. You design a spending rule and treat it like a treaty. You write a simple script for heated moments. Pause, breathe, step away, respond tomorrow. And you enforce it even when pride demands a duel. The pain is brief. The order endures. Citizens, your nerves, your focus, your word, start to trust the throne again. Cruelty badly used is the opposite. Endless, theatrical, panicked. You punish yourself with speeches, not statutes. You swing between binges and vows, shame and showy resolutions. This is tyranny in the mirror, and it collapses because no one believes a ruler who cannot keep a single small promise. The remedy is modest and firm. Make fewer laws, enforce them evenly. Track outcomes in ink, not mood. Reward loyalty. Replace pity with policy. The soft lie says your heart will guide you if you just feel more. The hard truth says your heart follows the roads you pave. Build roads that lead to dignity. Trim roads that lead to regret. Let praise be rare and earned. Let kindness have teeth. Let comfort knock, but never own a key. When flattery speaks, ask for receipts. When vanity smiles, show it the ledger. When velvet appears, search for the chain beneath. You do not need a softer mirror. You need a stronger city. Begin with one rule, one boundary, one act of real mercy. Protect what makes you able. Then move to the next block, the next habit, the next conversation, until the inner court learns the new language. Quiet, honest, unafraid. This is how love returns to power. Not as a lullaby, but as a law that keeps the lights on. Comfort serves me only when ordered. Shadows do not shout. They file papers in the dark and move your hand aside. Beneath your daily thoughts is a quiet archive. Its drawers hold slights, rejections, and vows that cracked under pressure. A teacher who laughed. A partner who left. A promise you broke to yourself at 2 a.m. Each file is fitted with a lever. When the present echoes the past, a clerk stamps an order: retreat, attack, lie. You call it a trigger. In truth, it is an ambush prepared years ago, rolled out the moment a familiar tone, look, or silence appears at your gate. Watch how quickly the archive moves. In a meeting, someone says, "We'll revisit your idea." The drawer labeled "not taken seriously" springs open. The lever marked attack slams down. Your voice spikes. The room stiffens. A friend cancels plans. The folder abandonment slides out, and the retreat order ships you into disappearing acts. A simple question corners you. The lie lever flips and you buy time you cannot repay. Policy by wound, governance by reflex. To rule, you must map the factions. The pleaser seeks love at any price, offering discounts on your dignity to keep the crowd warm. It overpromises at work, then pays with sleep. The tyrant governs by rage. It sends midnight messages in all caps, starts fights to avoid fear, and calls this honesty. The courier trades in gossip and performance reviews delivered behind backs. Attention is its currency. Exposure is its threat. The treasurer hoards, withholds investment in growth, and buys trinkets that mimic progress. These factions are not born wicked. They were hired during emergencies. The pleaser once kept the peace in a home where storms broke dishes. The tyrant once protected you at school when laughter cut like wire. The courier learned secrets to survive fragile leaders. The treasurer made sure the lights stayed on. But what saves you at 12 can ruin you at 30. Old tactics left unchecked become gangs that tax the city and call it safety. Avoidance is their favorite treaty. It writes in polite ink, "We will not fight today." So the shadow expands its barracks. You delay the medical check and the small problem recruits allies. You postpone a hard talk and resentment trains until it can scale the wall. You refuse to open the bill and interest becomes a second tax. The streets look calm only because the enemy is tunneling beneath the cobblestones. Appeasement buys quiet and sells the future. Modern life sweetens appeasement into habit. Notifications scatter your attention like coins tossed to children. An algorithm hums lullabies until dawn. You declare, "I work best under pressure," then design fires so you can feel brave putting them out. You say, "Now isn't the right time," and find another winter with no harvest. The language is silky. Don't be harsh. Be kind to yourself. When kindness means avoiding reality, it is not mercy. It is surrender with a bill due later. Wounds appoint ministers, and ministers write law. After betrayal, the minister of suspicion takes office. He audits every smile, scans every message for a dagger, and reads affection as bait. Deals die in the hallway. After neglect, the minister of excess runs the treasury. She feeds every hunger, food, spending, screen time, with the story, "No one will feed us later." The city grows soft while the barracks empty. After mockery, the minister of display takes public works. The bridges rust, but the stage glitters. After early chaos, the minister of control dictates mornings to the minute and treats surprise as treason. Citizens, your friends, your partner, your own body, learn to hide small truths because truth triggers inspections. If you study your days, you will see their signatures. You leave a kind message unanswered because suspicion says, "Wait for proof." You splurge on things you won't use because excess promises safety through plenty. You curate an image of calm while skipping the practice that builds real strength. Display love's applause over outcomes. You interrogate a partner's harmless plan because control fears improvisation more than failure. Identity is not fixed. It is a coalition of survival tactics posing as virtue. Against this coalition, deploy virtue. not niceness, not the wish to be admired. Virtue is disciplined audacity, the courage to do the necessary thing cleanly and at once. It walks into the archive with a lamp and reads the files without theatrics. Here is the day you were shamed. Here is the month you lied. It does not flinch. It amends the record, notes the pattern, and drafts a counterlaw. Where the clerk writes attack, Virtue writes ask. Where the clerk writes retreat, Virtue writes stand. Where the clerk writes lied, Virtue writes state the facts. Virtue also reorganizes the court. The pleaser becomes ambassador, permitted charm, forbidden to trade away values. The tyrant goes to the frontier as general force used rarely, with rules of engagement and penalties for friendly fire. The courier becomes press secretary. No rumors, only clear messages delivered to the right rooms. The treasurer stays but under oversight, required to invest in roads, teachers, tools, assets that return strength. Aligned with the common good, former problem ministers become useful servants. In practice, virtue sounds like small, direct sentences. I will say my one line in the meeting and stop. The archive tries to pull retreat. You breathe and speak. I will ask for the number, not the story, when a bill arrives. Excess argues for a feast. You approve a measured meal and a walk. I will not send the angry message tonight. I will call at 10 apology first. No speech. These are not gestures. They are laws tested in public. They rebuild legitimacy, power that flows from promises kept without applause. Understand, compassion is not absent here. It is simply placed after order, not before it. You are kind to your citizens, your focus, your word, your body, by protecting them from panic policies and festivals that waste the treasury. You are kind to the old ministers by retiring them with thanks and clear boundaries. The goal is not to feel heroic. The goal is to govern well. Proof is material, fewer crises, smaller debts, steadier mornings, quieter nights. The shadow is not mystery. It is a cabinet with keys, a committee with minutes, a budget that favors fear. You will not charm it into peace. You must outgovern it. Begin with the archive. Label the levers, redraw the map of factions, hire ministers on merit, fire them on results. Fund habits that fortify the wall. Let discipline be the riverbank that keeps the flood from taking the town. Day by day, policy by policy, you reclaim the state until the square grows safe again. My wounds no longer rule. Your city is under siege, and the first fire is inside the walls. Sirens without sound. Sleepless nights stack like crates by the door. You pace the ramparts of your own head, reading shadows as threats, messages as verdicts, silence as a sentence, supplies thin. Food turns to sugar, rest to caffeine, patience to a screen. Signals fail, rumors rule. You check a blue dot and call it hope. You check again and call it despair. Somewhere the square keeps time, but you do not believe it. Every path splits. Every choice feels like treason against someone you promised to be. The bombardment is small and constant. A coworker posts a win. Comparison cuts. A bill arrives. A tremor runs through the treasury. A memory flashes. The look on a face. The door that closed. And the gates open to ghosts. Compulsions march like soldiers with empty eyes. Refresh, refresh. Add to cart, one more episode, one more glass. You promise, tomorrow I will be different, the oldest counterfeit in the world. Panic tastes like metal, shame like dust, rage burns bright and leaves the streets darker than before. In a siege, rulers grow careless with blame. The scapegoat becomes a currency everyone can afford. You point at the envoy who brought the bad news, the friend who spoke plainly, the partner who asked a hard question, the boss who said, "Not yet." You fire the messenger and keep the message. You call your past unfair, your present impossible, your future cursed. It sounds strong and feels righteous, and it keeps you powerless. Under stress, the inner court drafts indictments by the hour and exports responsibility by the ton. In private, blame turns inward and sideways. You replay one sentence 10 times, adding crimes that never happened. You invent juries inside strangers' phones. You confuse delay with destiny and decide you were chosen for disadvantage. But the useful truth is this: the city failed because the city did not prepare, and now the city must act. Responsibility is not confession. It is a claim to power. You can prosecute the storm endlessly, or you can count sandbags and repair the gate. During fear, emergency laws pass in the night. You decree binges to quiet the square. You ghost people who could help and call that space. You lash out at the nearest citizen because a distant enemy is hard to reach. You sabotage the bridge you must cross tomorrow so you have a noble excuse to stay home. Panic policies feel strong because they move fast and make noise, but they strip legitimacy. You wake with apologies and new holes in the wall. The city learns the throne is loud, not lawful. Consider how a single late-night text can rewrite a week. One line, "We need to talk," and you pass a curfew on sleep. You stalk last seen as if it were a border skirmish. You loosen the treasury and buy things you do not want just to feel control. Or a quarterly review arrives. Lukewarm, you cancel practice, skip meals, and open the complaint theater. For a day, you look powerful. For a month, you are poorer. Strength without plan is ruin in armor. Yet collapse has a gift. It tears down the theater with the mask on. The rulers can be appointed. Reputation falls, and you finally stand in daylight with the broken levees and the unpaid guards. This is humiliation, and it is holy. You see that you are not in control and never were. Not of the market, not of other hearts, not of timing. What you can control, you dodged. Routines, rules, audits, counsel. The costume of doing fine is ash. What remains is the chance to govern. Let the mask fall completely. Stop narrating a noble tragedy and start the inventory. How many hours of sleep bought chaos? How many promises were written in air? Which habits paid nothing back? You do not swagger or beg. You tally. You accept that comfort called itself love and was occupation. You accept that fear called itself wisdom and was delay. You accept that rage called itself honesty and was cover fire for cowardice. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the clearing of smoke so you can aim. Now the moment of cold clarity. No bargaining with fantasies. You stop asking the storm to be polite. You stop demanding the past to apologize. You count resources 8 hours tonight if you protect them. 3 honest conversations this week. 2 routines you can defend without heroics. You name enemies and they are internal. The treaty with avoidance. The tax of overcommitment. The open gate called notifications, the minister of excess who signs every purchase emergency. You gather allies, a set bedtime, a clean desk, a friend who answers truthfully, a list that fits a day. Set temporary law, cruelty well used, no screens after 10, no debt without plan, no arguments after midnight, no speeches, only facts. Choose visible wins to restore credibility, 8 glasses of water, 1 page of numbers, 1 honest message, 1 hour of work before the world wakes. Post no declarations, perform no cleanses, build roads, stack sandbags, call it policy, not vibe. Yes, the siege continues. The market of attention is still a carnival. The flood still tests the banks. Fortuna will keep her storms, but a city that keeps its laws keeps its soul. When shame tries to hold a parade, deny the permit. When rage requests fireworks, move the funds to bridges. When fear proposes a bunker, invest in scouts and schools. The aim is not to feel invincible. It is to become governable by yourself on purpose every day. People may not notice at first. They are used to your theater. Let them doubt. Legitimacy grows like dawn, not like thunder. After a week, the square quiets. After a month, trade returns. After a season, your name means what you sign. Do not credit luck, credit law. A good ruler does not wait for praise to act, and does not stop acting when praise arrives. The inner court learns that promises are oaths again. One more truth before the gate closes. You cannot reform and keep the comforts that ruin you. Dismiss some courtiers and hire others. Replace the flattering advisor with the one who speaks in numbers. Replace the secret indulgence with earned rest. Replace the self-accusation liturgy with the brief, brave apology followed by changed conduct. If a relationship depends on your chaos, let it fail. If an identity depends on your exhaustion, retire it with honors. The city deserves a ruler who chooses duty over display, order over entertainment, peace over sedation. The siege taught you this: collapse is not the end of power, it is the end of pretending. Let the ruins instruct you. Build where the wall actually fell, not where the crowd can see the scaffolding. Keep the laws short and the sentences shorter. Count what counts, feed who fights, guard the dawn. And when the night arrives with drums, read your statutes aloud and sleep. I choose order then rest. Love is not a mood, it is policy that keeps the lights on. In a healthy state, love builds trust, opens roads, and steadies the harvest. People work because contracts hold, markets move because promises mean something. The grain reaches winter because someone counted, someone stored, someone protected. Translate this inward. When you respect yourself, capacity rises, you keep the hours you set. You speak plainly and follow through. You do work today that pays you tomorrow. Dignity grows because you stop renting your worth to applause. Patience grows because you no longer gamble your future for the comfort of now. What you called love with your shadow was not love. It was dependency dressed for a holiday. Dependency begs for indulgence and calls it connection. It demands comfort over capacity, secrecy over sunlight, rescue over responsibility. It says, if you loved me, you would protect me from consequences. But love in a state protects the common good, not the loudest appetite. A ruler who loves his city does not sell the bridges for a night of fireworks. A self that loves itself does not trade tomorrow's strength for tonight's lullaby. Measure it by outcomes. After this love, do you stand taller or smaller? Do your promises hold or wobble? Does your circle widen? New skills, better friends, cleaner rooms, or narrow into rituals that only make sense when you are tired? If the harvest shrinks, if the roads crack, if the guards nap while the gate stays open, your love is sabotage. Sentiment is not a budget. Results are the ledger. Now, the tests. Dependency demands secrecy. It tells you to hide the bill, hide the browser, hide the bottle, hide the truth. Real love survives light. If a habit wilts under an honest conversation, it was never love. Dependency also shrinks your world. Your week rotates around the next hit. Scroll, spend, flirt, binge, while the far fields go follow. Love enlarges your life with competence and trust. Dependency punishes honesty. When you say, this behavior hurts me, it retaliates with sulk, drama, or silent punishment. Love corrects with clarity and keeps the door open. Use these criteria today. The late-night relationship that requires you to be someone smaller to be kept. Dependency. The group chat that mocks every effort at discipline while calling you family. Dependency. The job identity that needs your exhaustion to feel meaningful. Dependency. Real love allows inspection. It welcomes audits and accepts limits because it seeks peace that lasts longer than a mood. You have waited for pardon from your wounds as if they were kings. They are not. They are citizens with stories, loud stories. But they do not issue your laws. You do not need forgiveness to act. You need jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the right to govern your time, money, attention, and word. It is earned not by suffering beautifully, but by showing up as the ruler. You assert it when you say, this ends, and then you make it end. Not with speeches, with doors that lock, accounts that reconcile, calendars that hold, and habits that stand watch. Guilt has trapped you in theater. You call yourself a bad person for failing, then perform remorse without reform. That is misgovernance, not moral doom. A city is not cursed because the tax office lost a file. It is misrun because audits lapsed. Fix the office. Keep the receipt. Move on. Shame wants endless trials. Jurisdiction wants procedures that work. The cure is administrative, not dramatic. Shorter lists, public deadlines, small promises kept in daylight. Consider a practical scene. You wake at midnight, and the old comfort beckons. Dependency whispers, you earned this, tomorrow will understand. Jurisdiction opens the statute. No screens after 10, water, 5 breaths, back to bed. Dependency tries for pity. Jurisdiction enforces without insult. Another scene, a friend invites gossip. Dependency warms your hands at the fire and calls it closeness. Jurisdiction says, I won't discuss them without them, and changes the subject. One more, an app carts your paycheck in pieces. Dependency names each purchase a treat. Jurisdiction sets a weekly cap and locks the gate when it hits. When you stop seeking pardon and start using power rightly, something quiet returns. The citizens, your nerves, your focus, your word, come back to the square. They trade again. They risk again. They sleep. The treasury grows in modest ways. On-time meals, cleaned rooms, 8 hours, paid invoices, laughter that doesn't need a screen. Love looks boring from the outside and feels steady from within. It is the hum of systems that work. Do not mistake this steadiness for lack of passion. It is the ground where passion can dance without burning the house. When storms come, as they do, real love holds the walls while you feel what you feel and still keep the law. Dependency will beg to be missed. It will send you memories with soft edges and loud music. Remember the price, remember the harvest. The reframe is simple and sharp. If it builds capacity, it is love. If it drains capacity, it is dependency. If it thrives in light, it is love. If it needs the dark, it is dependency. If it respects law, it is love. If it demands loopholes, it is dependency. Choose the policy that keeps the city alive tomorrow, not the party that steals the furniture tonight. I keep what makes me able. Power returns when you stop begging your feelings for mercy and start governing them like a city. Intelligence first. Build an intelligence bureau with one mission: convert fog into data. Once a week, sit with paper and draw 4 columns. Triggers, lies, cheap wins, true cost. Under triggers, note moments that spiked you. A dismissive tone in a meeting, a rival's post that tightened your chest, the noon slump that sold you sugar. Under lies, write the stories that excuse surrender. I earned this. It's not that bad. Tomorrow I'll fix it. Under cheap wins, list what felt good but built nothing. Scrolling, snacking, shopping, venting. Under true cost, count what those wins actually took. Sleep, money, trust, momentum. Be exact. 3 episodes, 96 minutes late wake, apology at 9:10 a.m. Precision is power. Data turns ghosts into maps. From intelligence to action, declare limited martial law. Identify the 2 behaviors sacking your treasury. Perhaps doom scrolling and secret spending. Perhaps late night messaging and skipped meals. Write 2 temporary statutes for 14 days. Specific, enforceable, finite. No social apps after 9 p.m. Phone charges in the kitchen. Spending cap fixed amount this week, tallied at 7 p.m. or no replies after 10 p.m. Draft at night, send at 8 a.m. This is cruelty well used, swift, targeted, brief. You are not punishing the city. You are stopping a riot before it burns the archives. Expect the first nights to feel loud. Hold the line. The point of martial law is not pain. It is peace that follows rules. To rebuild legitimacy, keep small promises. Power flows from credibility, not volume. Choose promises visible to the citizens that matter most. Your body, your focus, your word, wake at the same time for 7 days. Do a 10-minute cleanup after dinner. Send the honest message you keep postponing with 1 clear sentence and no defense. Stack these wins where you can see them. A habit tracker on the fridge, tally stones in a jar, checks on the calendar. When your nervous system receives proof that the throne means what it says, panic decreases, patience returns, and work begins to finish itself. Speak less. Deliver more. Authority grows in silence. Now align virtue with fortuna. Fortune will keep testing the levees, so build them in fair weather. Guard sleep as state security, schedule soberly, fewer commitments, deeper focus, write emergency scripts that fit on a card. When panic rises, I call, I walk, I write. When envy flickers, I close the app, breathe 5 times, work for 10 minutes. When rage climbs, I step outside, name 3 facts and delay responses until morning. These are drills, not decorations. Practice in calm so you can execute under noise. A city does not train fire brigades during the fire. It trains at noon, with water ready and routes memorized. Do the same. Replace flatterers with counsel. Exile the inner advisors who speak in compliments and hand you bills later. Hire advisors who show you numbers. Bring in one sober friend who can answer yes, no, or prove it. Bring in a mentor whose life has receipts, not slogans. Appoint written principles as permanent ministers. Short rules on paper that do not bend to mood. Keep them visible on the fridge, in the wallet by the desk. Make truth convenient. Make lies expensive. When a flattering thought arrives, charge it a fee, evidence. If it cannot pay, it leaves. Govern through incentives and corrections, not tantrums. Reward loyalty from yourself, the way a wise prince rewards faithful cities. Small privileges after hard work. After 90 minutes of deep work, walk in the sun. After a week of kept promises, enjoy a simple pleasure within budget. Corrections must be immediate and calm. If you break a statute, pay a small fine or repair the damage the same day. Miss a workout, do 5 slow push-ups and schedule the next session. Send a message you shouldn't, apologize in plain language, and set the send next day rule again. No speeches, no shame festivals, just law and repair. Prune, then plant. Remove 2 draining alliances this week. Perhaps it's a late-night group chat that feeds drama. Leave quietly. Perhaps it's 2 apps that turn minutes into ash. Delete and block their return. Free land is not enough. Plant it with strengthening alliances. Add a reading hour that replaces noise with thought. Add a skill practice that compounds 15 minutes of language, code, instrument, or craft. Governance is landscape design. Fewer weeds, more orchards. Notice how the streets feel wider when the stalls of distraction leave the square. Codify law, your personal statutes. Draft 5 to 7 rules that cover 80% of your failures. No secret accounts. No unplanned late-night messaging. No decisions after midnight. Facts before feelings. Move your body daily at least 10 minutes. No food as negotiation. These are not vows to impress anyone. They are operating procedures. Post them. Review every Sunday. Amend sparingly. The point is clarity, not perfection. A city endures many storms if its laws are few, clear, and enforced without theater. All of this requires a ruler who shows up on time. So show up. The audit happens every weekend morning with coffee. Martial law begins tonight at 9. The small promises begin before lunch. The scripts are written on cards by dusk. Counsel is texted by day's end. Can you be my number person for 2 weeks? Rewards are budgeted now. Corrections are paid today. The statutes are posted where you cannot avoid them. Not tomorrow, now. Expect resistance. Old ministers will give speeches about freedom and authenticity. Smile and check the ledger. Freedom without capacity is vandalism. Authenticity without law is chaos in costume. You do not exist to appease cravings. Cravings exist to be ordered for the common good. When your feelings say, "Be kind," answer, "I am." This is kindness that lasts. When they say, "Be flexible," answer, "The rule is short and just, we keep it." Track outcomes like a treasurer and morale like a general. Are mornings quieter? Are debts smaller? Are apologies fewer? Is work done earlier? Do relationships feel simpler because truth travels faster? Chart it. When a policy works, keep it even if it looks plain. When a policy fails, replace it without drama. The citizens want water and safety, not fireworks. Give them water. Build safety. In time, the shadow stops ruling because there is nothing left for it to rule. Triggers still happen, but they meet gates and guards who know their work. Old appetites still knock, but they negotiate and leave receipts. Panic rises, finds the emergency script, and loses its army at the bridge. Fortune floods, touches the levee, and returns to the riverbed. This is not luck. This is governance earned. If you want a final order, let it be this. Choose boring strength over exciting weakness. Boring strength builds roads. Exciting weakness sells tickets to a fire. You do not need anyone's permission to rule yourself well. You need information, short laws, steady enforcement, and rewards scaled to truth. Walk the city at dusk. Hear the quieter streets. Count the lights still on because discipline kept its watch. Then return to the palace, close the ledger, and sleep. I build strength on schedule. The best fortress which a prince can possess is the love of his people. Peace is not a mood you wait for. It is a policy you practice. You will know it by the ledger, not by the lullaby. The treasury grows. Your energy holds through the afternoon without bribes of sugar and noise. The roads open. Options appear because you kept your word yesterday, and the map widened today. Citizens return to the markets. Curiosity, friendship, and play restart because the gates feel safe. Peace sounds like simple mornings, clean desks, clear yes and no. It looks like small tasks finished on time and a bed that welcomes sleep, because nothing is chasing you in the dark. Measure it plainly. Do apologies shrink? Do late fees stop? Do you spend fewer hours explaining and more hours building? Do your conversations end with understanding instead of confusion? Do your evenings belong to recovery instead of repair? Peace is practical. It is a kitchen that closes at a decent hour and opens to coffee, not chaos. It is a phone that rests in another room like a soldier off duty. It is a body that trusts you and a mind that no longer hides evidence from itself. The new alliance is between self-respect and discipline. Respect without discipline is a kind speech that never sends supplies to the frontier. Discipline without respect is a harsh governor who breeds desertion. Together they make a city worth living in. Self-respect says, I am worth good laws. Discipline answers, then we keep them. They do not compete, they complete. Respect chooses a bedtime because you deserve a clear morning. Discipline enforces it even when the show calls your name. Respect demands honest work because your time matters. Discipline blocks the hour and guards it from intruders. You will feel the difference immediately. When you treat yourself with respect, you stop bargaining with what ruins you. When you enforce fair rules, you stop fearing your own moods. A day run this way has a quiet confidence. Fewer declarations, more evidence. People sense it. They relax around you because your yes means yes, and your no is not a hidden maybe. This is how affection returns to power. The inner citizens trust the throne again. So end with an oath, not a speech. Keep it short enough to remember under rain. I will review my statutes each Sunday. Read them aloud. Edit rarely. Enforce daily. I will keep small promises before I make large ones. Let credibility grow like a tree. Rings added one morning at a time. I will adjust to storms without abandoning the plan. When fortune floods, you move sandbags. You do not burn the blueprint. I will refuse flattery. When a voice offers praise that costs you law, you thank it and close the door. Add 3 visible acts. First, guard sleep like a frontier. Set the hour and honor it. Second, defend attention like currency. 1 block of deep work each day is a tax the city happily pays for future growth. Third, maintain counsel. Keep 1 sober friend, 1 written principle, and 1 honest record. When confusion rises, consult all 3. They will save you from policies passed in panic. Understand, hope is not fragile here. It is not a candle trembling in the wind. It is stone placed upon stone. Habits, boundaries, audits, and the steady warmth of earned rest. Some days will feel flat. Good. Flat roads carry more trade than dramatic cliffs. When joy comes, it will be clean. When sorrow comes, your laws will hold. You will not need to disappear to survive your own life. Walk your city at dusk and notice the signs. Fewer alarms, fewer speeches, more doors open, more faces unguarded. You will hear laughter that is not a cover. You will see markets closing on time because tomorrow will open on time. This is peace, not the absence of weather, but the presence of order that outlasts it. Keep choosing it. Keep paying for it with small, steady acts. Keep guarding it with fair rules and a firm hand. The fortress you build is inside you, and the people you must win are the parts of you that once panicked. Win them with clarity. Keep them with consistency. Lead them with a quiet voice that does what it says. I choose peace by keeping my word.